Personally,
Yeah?
what is your social fiction? So, Professor Yunus,
Yep.
please.
Sorry, Diki.
Hi, everybody. I'm here. Good to see you again. Good.
You'll take the right chair. Yeah. And also say, what is your social fiction? Yeah.
Well, anything wild. Something crazy. That should be human. See, the important thing about imagination, you don't have limits. You can be as wild as you want. It doesn't cost you anything. So it doesn't cost you anything. There's no limit. So why should we be stingy? Why don't we think about the thing which says absolutely impossible, absolutely out of mind? And I think that's what the imagination should be. It should not be something that familiar, something that we say, okay, maybe it's a little improvement. It's not an improvement. It's running away from reality. That's what the imagination is all about.
You also talk about creating this museum of poverty.
Yeah, that's an imagination too. That's saying that there's so many poor people around the world, and I have been trying to draw attention by saying poverty is not created by the poor people. Poverty is created by the system. So all we have to do is to redesign the system, and the people will come out on their own. You don't have to go and pull them out. Everybody is trying to pull them out. I said, that's a wrong policy. You put a wall, you put a whole roof on top of them and put them inside, wall them, put them in a cubicle, locked up from every direction, and then you try to pull them up. They can't get out. They're stuck there. So I said, that's not what the situation is. Situation, they are fully equipped. Simply, system puts a lock on their door. They can't come out. So unlock them, they will be out. And said, then when we have unlocked them, when they get out, and still our children will be talking about poverty in the history books. They will read that Bangladesh used to be a very poor country, and the world will be so poor, and so on and so forth. There are poor countries, there are rich countries, all kinds of description how the poverty is. They will feel very sad that there's so much poverty. I said, while you teach in the classroom, show them their videos and let them Google poverty, but the best thing is to create a museum, poverty museum, because you can't see it in the real world. So you can go to the museum and see what poverty is like. Like when we talk about dinosaurs, we don't see dinosaurs. We see pictures of dinosaurs. You try to imagine dinosaurs. And somebody says, okay, we have a dinosaur in our museum. So we take our whole class to see what the dinosaur would look like, real dinosaur. So it's a huge big thing from one side of the museum to the other side of the museum. We wonder, we see what this is all about. My God, how can an animal be like that? So you see the real thing. So you see the whole world piece by piece, what kind of people live like, how the animals live like, and so on. So why don't we exclusively have a poverty museum to see how the poor people live like, what did they do in their life, well, how did they suffer from the famine, how they suffer from the healthcare, how they suffered from the society, and so on, all depicted and historical. It's not just imaginary thing. These are historical things. How many people died in famine, show the skeletons of those people who died of famine, and diseases, pandemics, and so on. Curable diseases, simple diseases like diarrhea, which is a very simple thing. But it's stupid us, we never thought of curing them. So they suffered. When diarrhea will start in Bangladesh, I'm sure many other countries, it will clean up village after village, finish. Whole village is emptied because everybody died because of the diarrhea. But this is something very simple to cure. But you didn't come up with that, and so people had to suffer. So we put all these things into the museum, and we'll see. And the young people who are saying that feel very sad. How heartless our forefathers were. let people suffer like this just because they wanted to enjoy their life, concentrate their attention to themselves. They didn't put into the considerations of other people and exploited them. These are the sources of their cheap labor and all that. So let them rot in the lives they have to suffer with. So, and they will say, we'll never make it happen again. You will never come back. So we will not let it happen. So they will make a resolve. That's what the idea of a poverty museum is all about. And one of the things that I've been suggesting, the last country in the world, because I'm imagining that all countries, one after another, will declare themselves, we are a poverty-free country. If you find one poor person in anywhere in our country, $1 million award. And nobody can claim that award because they cannot find one who is a poor person. So in that, after you wait, nobody can claim it, you declare the country as a poverty-free country. So country after country will be declaring themselves as a poverty-free country. And finally, the last country which will declare that we are the poverty-free country, the last one, finally is over, poverty is over. Then we create the Global Poverty Museum, saying goodbye to poverty forever. It will never come back again. So that's what we are waiting for. First we go by country by country. Before country by country, you can go by district, village by village. If you want to say, can it happen? Try with your village. Why don't we start with the village? We say, this is a poverty-free village. Is this a challenging work? Not at all. Anybody can make it happen. Anybody can make it happen. But we don't do that. So it's such a small thing. That's the biggest thing one can do. If you declare a village a poverty-free village, I can guarantee you the world will be a poverty-free world because we have started the process. We have taken the step which needed to be taken. Thank you.
Definitely. Thank you, sir. And once such museum is created, which of course we are creating it, we are on the right path, I believe. YY Ventures would like to take care of one such flow. Yeah? So we will also talk about it and a lot of fictions that we are having in our mind to do so. I want to invite 3 young friends on stage. Can we have Ifrit Tahia from Sajida Foundation? Yusuf Munna, who's a 3Z support person from the 30 Club, and he's the founder of Reflective Teens. And last but not the least, Bono Sridotto, Chief Strategy Officer at Mindspace.
And I will interview you. Hello, welcome. Welcome to all of you. I had the chance to already discuss very briefly, get to know you, but now it's time that you present yourself. So, who are you and what do you do? Ifrit.
Greetings, everyone. Thank you for...
Try to put it...
Yeah. Good.
Thank you so much. Greetings, everyone. Thank you for having me here. So my name is Ifrit Tahia. I work in the Partnerships Department at Sajida Foundation. I speak, breathe, live partnership, and that is because other than my work, I also am a food blogger. So I try to make sure that we develop mindful consumption of food as well as reduce waste when I partner with different restaurants and promote the food that is existing in Bangladesh and abroad.
I hope you did not secretly, or I hope you secretly created a blog about the food that we had here. Maybe, yeah. Ozer and Lamia will keep an eye on this. Yep.
Hi, I'm Yusuf. I am the Executive Director of Reflective Teens. Basically, Reflective Teens is a non-profit teen-based creative platform. Through our activities, we are trying to create a more conducive environment for flourishing the creativity of the teenagers. So it's been like 10 years we have been running this organization, and over the last 10 years, we engaged more than 500,000 teenagers from Bangladesh and 5 other countries.
Thank you.
Hello, greetings everyone. I feel so ecstatic to be a part of this panel that actually has Professor Yunus in it. I honestly have goosebumps at this point. So who am I? As mentioned, I am Bonusri Dotto. I'm the CSO for Mindspace, an organization that is working towards creating and making mental health support accessible and affordable for all, anywhere and anytime. But I'm also a student. I'm a student at IBA of University of Dhaka, and I try to incorporate what I study and what I learn into what I actually want to do in the future, create a society where mental health support is actually important and is actually easy to attain. Thank you.
Wow, aren't they amazing? Can we make a big round of applause for them? So we talk about social fiction. Now we have a question for you. How do you imagine in 2050 the world of a young person? And we start with you.
Okay, so at Mindspace, whenever we work, the first question that we get from people is, why is mental health important? Is mental health actually important? In 2050, I would like to believe that this question would be obsolete. People would already be aware of the fact that mental health is actually important. People would be prioritizing it, and people would be taking care of their mental health, and hopefully Mindspace would be a part of that. But apart from that, I would also like to believe that since technology is actually taking over, and even though we're virtually connected, loneliness is increasing. I would actually like to believe that isn't the case anymore in 2050. People incorporate the virtual connectivity into their lives and they can actually get connected. Loneliness isn't a problem by then. And whatever it is that people do, they do it with joy. That's what I want for 2050. Thank you.
And that's also something that we always say as well in social business, always do it with joy. So no loneliness, no mental health topic. Mental health doesn't exist as a word. That's great. What about you, Yusuf?
All the artificial intelligence thing like ChatGPT or DALI, all the artificial intelligence are blowing our mind nowadays. But people also have fear of that. Like people think those artificial intelligence might cut down their jobs, right? But statistically, it is proven that when first-time computer was introduced, people used to have the fear that it might cut down all of their jobs. But statistically proven that it has created more jobs than it has cut down. So I want to see a future by 2050 where technology alongside the artificial intelligence will create a more better and sustainable world.
Fantastic. Would you agree with this? Like, let's make a round of applause every time, like, show a bit of enthusiasm every time we agree with this social fiction world. Ifrit, what about your world in 2050?
I think to add to what Muna just said, I think similarly, the youth of the 2050, they need to have an entrepreneurial mindset, and whether it's AI or other technologies that may come along the way, they will have to be very adaptive. They will have to be entrepreneurial in the sense that they would have to conduct social business for social good. And this is only possible when partnerships are done in a way with stakeholders where they can build up they can not only make it sustainable, but also scale it up. So it's not necessary that we have to be scared of technology, because they have been inherently built in a way that while they're solving social problems, they still require partnerships with stakeholders. So I believe that partnership will be equally important, and it's very important for the youth to be adaptive along the way. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I see enthusiasm also, like we are exchanging vibes.
What's your social fiction?
So I thought about it as well, and I think like there's not going to be a normal business concept, like really like everything is going to be just social business.
Everything needs to be social business.
Yes, and like IT, technology, we're going to have so many data that we can really leverage on solving any kind of problem. That's how I see it. Yes.
Super. And our friends have questions for you, Professor Yunus. Yeah? They have questions for you. Yeah? So we have 3 questions. Maybe you take 30 seconds each, and we also want to make it super quick. We start with Banushree.
Sir, we've all heard about your achievements and accolades, and I actually heard about them from my father, who used to work at Grameen Bank. He's actually so proud of me at this moment that I'm being able to ask you this question. I'm actually curious about your teenage life, how it was. And since we're talking about fiction, if time travel were to become possible at one point of time and you were able to time travel back to your teenage self and were able to have a 5-minute conversation with yourself, what would be the topic of conversation be? Thank you. What would be the topic of conversation with your teenage self? You have 5 minutes with yourself.
Yeah. Is the mic?
I have to talk to myself. Well, if I kind of put myself back as a young person, first to give you a context of that young person, how I grew up in early years. I grew up in a local patshala, so that's my first entry in education. Sitting on the floor, that's how it began. And I remember we had to learn Namuta,
Yeah.
multiplication table. So we stand up, all of us, and one of them will say, Duyeke Dui, Dui Dugune Char, Tin Dugune Choy. We'll repeat loudly, louder, and so on. That's our way of learning, rotation, completely shouting and so on, remembering those things. I got the first class where I could have a bench to sit. In second grade, the first time I found that I can sit on a bench, 6 on a bench, and that's a kind of exciting thing. On 5th grade, I got a desk in front of me. That was the most exciting thing for me, that I got a desk in front of me. So that's how things moved. So you can see that I got the hobbies at that time, those, I don't know if you're familiar with those things, hobbies. Stamp collecting, I don't know if it exists anymore.
Yeah. It does, I collected too.
That became my hobby, to collect the stamps.
Coins.
And yeah, I put them in an album, run for one little stamp, for somebody got a letter from somewhere. So it's how to get hold of that stamp. So that's another one, the stamp collection. And at those times, there's something called pen pal. You never heard of it? No. Pen pal? You write it, pen friends. You then saw somebody, just got the address, and you write a letter. And you become friends by letter. And you very patiently write that letter, so somebody will read it and answer it. We don't know this guy was going to answer it or not. Who's this guy? Is an old person, young person? He says he's a young person, or she's a young person. You don't know who is going to write. So you very patiently write that letter and lick the stamp on top and mail it and wait and wait and wait. When that letter will come. The day it arrives, the most exciting moment of your life. Somebody responded to your letter that you wrote and so on. You show it to your friends. I got a pen pal. I have a pen pal. It took months and weeks to get that response. So that's the speed in which we grew up. So if you translate that in the speed now, instantaneously you are having how many messages per second you exchange? I don't know. That's the speed of, and across the globe you are doing that, and sending pictures and all kinds of things that you do. So our thing was very slow. That's where we are from, that our mind and every response pattern and everything is extremely slow, because that's how we grew up in the process and so on. Yesterday I was mentioning about the 1971 Liberation War, and after that 72, and I was mentioning the Bangladesh was the poorest country in the world. Per capita income was about 100, 120 or so on. Dollars per person, and it's a dirt poor country, and Bangladesh was a food short country. You can feed ourselves. That's why we had the famine in 1974. Today, nearly 50 years later, our per capita income zoomed. We are talking about the middle income countries and so on. It's 50 years only, and then our people and the quality of life for the people, and also the food. Our population doubled. We were 75 million in 1974. Now we are 170, 100 million more than what we had. And still we have covered the food shortage. We are a food sufficient country. We produce enough food for ourselves and so on. So in 50 years, you have come a long way. The reason I'm giving this information, things move in an exponential way. It's not a straight line. So you change something, it has an exponential power. It zooms. So today where we are, if you take the example from 50 years back and put it in 50 years front, you'll be way up if the asymptotic curve go in the direction that we are talking about. So that's the speed in which also not only will be talking about what we are, which is important what we are, but at the same time where we are and how much time it took to do that. So that we know the curves, what is taking us there, and put it from there. So that reflecting from there. Today's children, for example, I'm comparing the days that I'm talking about, reciting my namata and all that. I have a relative, as a child of one of my friend's child. He is growing up, and he is hardly 8-year-old, and he speaks fluent Russian. And I was surprised, how does this, nobody understands what he's saying. So I'm the only one who understood because I have a little bit of Russian. So how does he speak Russian? So I keep asking his mother, I said, I don't know where he picks it up. Do you have any Russian neighbor? No, we don't have it. We don't even know that he speaks Russian. So finally we found out he watches Russian cartoons and is fluent in Russian. He responds everything in Russian right away. So this is the way. It took us a hard time to learn English. Still we can't speak good English because it's a very slow process to pick up the English. This guy, this kid, 7 or 8-year-old, he learns a foreign language. Nobody else in his entire neighborhood or anywhere here knows about it. But he's very fluent, he responds, he curses people, he shouts at people, everything. When he gets mad, he's just shouting in his own languages and so on. So this is the kind of nature now, how you do that kind of thing. So you reflect on that. So that's the speed now we are all carrying. You are carrying one speed, I'm carrying another speed. It's a very big difference. So where you take that speed, if you're copying it from your parents, you're in the wrong crowd because they are in the old speed. You have to pick up and see, build up the new speed and new targets where you want to go, because now things are achievable. What was achievable, what took 50 years in the past, probably will take 5 years, because that's the speed. So that's where I would say there are possibilities, enormous possibilities, what might happen. That's what I will try to bring to the attention of the lucky ones like you are, who are lucky ones to be the young people, and who can imagine anything and make it happen, because that's the speed they already got. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Sir, I attended many different programs where you spoke, and everywhere you said one common thing, and that is all the young people have the power to change the world. In that term, every individual youth is a superman or woman, right? So there should be some ground rules to use the power. Otherwise, the world might get destructed, right? So from your insight, what would be that ground rules that might be used or should be considered to change the world?
Yeah, the reason I'm saying that you're the superpower, because that's what a background I was explaining why you are superpower, what brought you here at this point in time. And then all the technologies keep coming. Our technology for the first time to see a camera, just a camera, very old-fashioned camera, folding camera. You have to fold it up before you can take a picture, or unfold that and take a picture. Before that was a box camera, so just a little box, nothing else. And that's our starting point. Today's kids make movies, edit movies and everything in his little handsets. Yeah, so he is a completely different world. Not our kind. At that age, we're struggling excitement of taking a picture, black and white picture. You can hardly recognize the face of the person that you took the picture from. You have vivid pictures, not only pictures, movies. And not only movies, you edit it, put music into it. This little kid, and makes movie of his own kind, what he wants to say, what he wants to do. He does cartoons. So that's the change, your starting point versus somebody else's starting point. So technology has brought you the power. And what you have the power now, imagine what that power will be 10 years from now. Because every day it's changing. Now we are talking about AI. And what is this? Chat GPT. They are making me crazy on that one. Chat GPT. So you're talking about Chat GPT. They can write much better than we do. So what next they will do better than we do? Yeah. And this is the stage we're now. Before we are struggling to find out what Chat GPT is doing, they're doing something else. Yeah. Way above. So that's the speed. And you picked up the speed and use it. That's the whole thing. So nothing is impossible now. Everything is. So imagination is the only investment that you have to make. Rest is free. Just put the imagination into it, make it happen. Right. Thank you.
Right. So ChatGPT is probably already organizing Social Business Day. Yeah. No, I had a conversation with our programs lead, Bishu. I say, you have been using it for many months. How does it work? It's like, you give them some ideas, they make you a panel. Yeah, but let us come back to Ifrit.
So, sir, I have one interesting question to ask you. Earlier, we had a conversation, and you actually took the time to ask me more about myself and my background. That really proves the power of having meaningful conversations. And I'm sure along the way of building your organization, you had to talk to multiple stakeholders, build a lot of partnerships with entities. What would be your advice for someone in the partnership field in order to, maybe a formula that you can share to have a successful partnership with any entities?
Let me see, let me try it this way. When I get very, very disoriented, totally frustrated, the story that I was telling you when I came back and joined Chittagong University and the famine and all that, I started going to the village. So one of the things that I started telling my colleagues and anybody who's listening to me, that this village now has become my university. Because this is the real learning that I'm doing now. The villagers that I see, and I can bet you, they are my more superior professor than I had to go to United States to learn in the classroom for all those PhDs and so on, because they are absolutely down to their own life and telling me what this life is all about, and I'm learning from them for the first time. So that's the best university that I ever went to, and I learned a lot. And that's the question you asked. I said, I learned in the university what I learned to fly high. And when I fly high, I look down where the real world is. And I see a lot, because when the higher you are, you see more. Because your eyesight covers more area from a further distance. So you see more, and you know more, because you see more. As you see more, you say, I know everything. And we are proud of our bird's eye view. This is called bird's eye view. You see from the top, and you have the bird's eye view. I said, yes, you see a lot, but you don't see anything. Not in the way they are. You don't see human beings. You don't see a budding flower. You don't see one sheaf of paddy or little animal or a fish. Or you see something gray down there. And you saw everything. You know everything. You don't know anything. So what this village has given me, instead of bird's eye view, they has given me worm's eye view, like a worm, little worm. worm kind of go on the, creep on the whatever surface it gets and see whatever little it can see around it and see very clearly, because that's his survival. Because if he sees any problem, he turns around because he sees very clearly. If he sees some barrier, he tries to get around or go over it because he sees it very clearly. I said, this village, everything that I have learned, that's the insight that gave me, the worm's eye view. Now I see things where the bumpy, where it's clear, where it's a little bit of shaky surface that you have to be careful and so on. So now I can act because I'm very familiar with that. When I act, I know where I'm standing on. It's very solid ground that I'm standing on. That's what we want to do. So that's the difference when you make it happen, that the question of having a worm's eye view. So that worm's eye view gave me lots of things, because I'm not thinking about the whole world. I was always looking at one person. Can I be useful to one person? When you were staying at the poverty, I was mentioning, can I create a village which is free from poverty? This is more realistic. Any one of us can do that. I can guarantee you. Any one of us, if we decide that we'll make our village, the village where I'm born or where I'm interested in my lifetime or in a short time, I'll make it poverty-free. This is a doable thing. So I'm not talking about the whole world, which is big. I'm not talking about the whole country, which is big. I'm talking about this. And that's the thing that I felt tremendous courage. Since I want to be useful to one person. That's the idea I got, how to make myself useful to only one person, not the whole world. The idea is if I can make myself useful to one person, I can make it me useful to second person, third person, fourth person. It's all a repetitive job, much easier. The rest of my life is just followed that track. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yeah?
They say we don't have time.
They say we don't have time.
Yeah,
Okay.
we are going to close, yeah.
Okay. Then I give the word to you, Joseph, if we have to close. Otherwise, I ask a question. Again, I can talk.
No, I mean, so that was the platform that we wanted to create with our friends and Professor Yunus to see how we start to think or imagine in small steps to move towards the big goal of a world of 3 zeros. And I would like to thank all of you, Professor Yunus, you and Maria, for joining us in this panel. And would you like to say some final words for our friends?
Well, you come back to 3 zeros again. Yeah, we want to create 3-0 world.
Yeah.
Here I'm talking about the village, then you put the 3-0 world, whole world in front of me. Yeah, indeed, that's why we started to talk about 3-0 club.
Yeah.
Make it close to you. World is big, we know that. But we can take the first step. That's what the 3-0 club is all about. We are saying, can we make ourselves into a 3-0 person? I cannot change the whole world. I'm a small guy. But I'm big to change myself because I'm the only owner of me. I have all the power on myself. Why don't I turn myself into a 3-0 person? And that's the whole theme of the 3-0 club. If 3-0 is something to be done for the whole world, let them do it. But I'll do it myself, on me. What I'll do, I'll not do anything. My commitment is, I will not do anything which will contribute to global warming. If I can make it, I become 0 global warming because I have restrained myself from any action in contributing to global warming. And I repeat, I will not do anything which will contribute to wealth concentration or unemployment. So it will be a tough job. It's not easy. But we can do step by step, come closer and closer and closer to make it each one to bring me to 3-0 situation. Once we achieve that, I can finally say I'm a 3-0 person. it's not me which is contributing to any one of these problems. See, if I can do that, I feel a little bit ease with me that I'm not responsible for doing that, everybody else is. Somebody says, okay, I can do the same thing. Sets of 5 people in each group, in each club, so they will be 30 persons. Then we say, if you have done that, that's what you have changed the world already. Because all you have to do now, go to the next step, 30 families. If you can do the 30 families, 30 village. If you can make it 30 village, I can guarantee you 30 world will be right in front of you. That's one more step, that's all. So that's kind of thing. It's a thing you start with 1 and goes to infinity right away. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Professor Yunus, Maria, Ifrit, Yusuf, and Bonusi for joining us. I'll let you take your seats. And the vessel, you're free, but we continue the conversations of this stage. But the vessel that we are trying to create to drive this movement towards the 3-0 world, I cannot drive it alone. Let me invite on stage our co-pilot, Sadia Hussain. Yeah, we are about to close the 2-day-long event. How do we do it, Sadia?
I don't know. Let's ask the audience what they think about it.
Yeah? How was it, guys? Good. Awesome? Bhishon Khushi koijon hoise? Oh, I see many. How many of you are super happy? I see more hands. Professor Yunus, we get better so that you also say you are super happy. With double Y. All right, so no, thank you so much for joining us in these 2 days. We prepared for this event for little less than 6 weeks. Tireless nights, a lot of requests to Shahjan sir, Professor Yunus, and Ashraf sir for making this venue available so that we can host 125 friends, but at one point we had 175 people. We were really worried how to host all these people here. And we had 500 plus people who registered in our online platform. And we want to thank you for spending these 2 days with us. And we learned so much from you guys. And we are so happy that you committed your working days for the cause.
We also want to thank all our speakers, all our panelists, facilitators, and our team for making this a huge success. This was the first time we hosted an event like this in this space, so there was a lot of experiments to be done. Setting up a cafe at the back, setting up a registration booth, everything was new. So we like that you liked it, and we hope to use this space more often.
Yeah.
But, you know, I also want to spend some time to acknowledge the effort that has been put behind this event. In addition to all the speakers and the participants and everyone who's been here with us today, I want to take a moment to thank our team. And I want to read the names so that I don't miss anyone. I want to first thank the YY design team, Nanzifa, who's not here today, but is in India. We miss you and we love you. A huge round of applause for her. Daisy Apu, I can't see you, but we love you too. Yes, hello. Shanto Bhai, Shaun, Nabil, our tech team, Rizvi, Ozer, Rifa, and Sakib. We just can't do it without you. Our YY Ventures team for their content. Prodipto, Mustain, Farah, Zaha, Maisha, Bisho, Purvita, and Mustafiz, and Shefaz. We can't forget our finance guy. We also want to thank our friends from Impact Hub Dhaka, Lamia, and we cannot forget Tomal, Shantapu, and Milan. I can't see them, but we love you. This event just would not have been possible without their hard work. There has been a lot of tears There has been a lot of frustration and stress, but it is all worth it. And this won't be complete if I don't acknowledge your vision, Shazib. This man is crazy, sometimes will drive us crazy, but his leadership and perseverance is inspiring. So thank you for what you do.
Also thanks to you, Sadia. I also want to thank Professor Yunus sir. We have 44 other speakers. I want to thank our friends from Yunus Center, the Embassy of the Kingdom of Netherlands, Netherlands Enterprise Agency, the whole Grameen Creative Lab team. One more cheer for you guys. And I want to thank our friends at Grameen Telecom Trust, the management board of Onono. All these people have worked tirelessly. We have had at least 2 sessions when we were here, chilling on this stage at 3 o'clock. All these people were out there making sure that we could turn this empty space into a location so that we can have this event. You all have been great guests, contributors and supporters and friends. I wish if I could go back in the time when I was 22 years old and tell myself that this was also possible. 10 years ago, I didn't see this life ahead of me. And finally, when we created this summit in 2014, I don't know, Professor Yunus, if you remember this, I went to Lamiap. I said, can I organize a small event with maybe 150 people? Professor Yunus needs to come and meet my friends, and just 40 minutes of his time should be enough. Within 7 days, we had a full program. Whole golf garden was packed. I had my last final exam at Dhaka University, and my teachers would not let me sit for this exam sometime again. I opened this event, came back fully drenched because it was raining and the whole crazy Dhaka traffic, but we are still here. We have held 8 events. Ozair was with me for 6 such events, I guess. But this is, I think we are just getting started. YY Ventures is a tiny little company, but we need your support. We need you to help us, tell us how we can get better, how we can help shape this global social business movement. This summit and our work is for you, for the entrepreneurs, the students, the 30 Club members, young professionals coming in from all the organizations like Unilever, Sajida Foundation, 10 Grameen companies, and many more. And you are our path to a world of 3 zeros, a world with 0 net carbon emissions, a world with 0 wealth concentration for ending poverty, and lastly, a world with 0 unemployment by unleashing entrepreneurship in all. Whoever you are, wherever you are, and one thing that you must know, that your choice matters, and you matter to YY Ventures. I'm deeply grateful to you for your commitment for our event, and we thank you, and we see you, we'd love to see you somewhere in the social business world. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good night.
And do not forget to keep it YY.
As a thank you, we also have some plants for you. So as you head out of this space, please feel free to grab one so that you can remember the summit and keep a memento with you. Thank you very much. Bisha will tell us where it can be found.
Please collect your plant from the registration booth.
Thank you.
Ozair wants to make us dance. He's bringing musicians. How do we?